Hi everyone. So welcome back to the third video on percentages. And in this video, what we'll be doing is we'll be discussing questions pertaining to percentages. In the first two videos, that is percentage basic 1 and percentage basic 2, we have already discussed the concepts pertaining to percentages, like how do you convert percentage to absolute value and the vice versa. Then we also discuss couple of important statements like what is meant by increase by, increase to. Then we discuss concepts such as percentage changes, then successive percentage change, then application of percentage change, and many other things. All right. So if this is the first video of percentage that you are watching, then please pause the video and go through the percentage basic 1 and basic 2 so that you understand how we are supposed to solve the questions. Okay, because in this video we'll simply be solving the questions and no theory will be discussed. Okay, now in this, what you have to do is whenever I'm going to show you a question on the screen, you'll pause the video first. You're going to try the question yourself and then you're going to play back the video in order to understand how am I solving the question. Now, in all the questions that we'll be taking up in this video, I have not given answers or I have not given options to any one of them. The reason being is that I want you guys to focus on the working part and not on the options part. Okay, because the working is more important, because you will not get the same question, the concept will remain the same. And how can you improve on the concept? You can only improve by understanding whether your working is correct or not. Okay, so this is question number 1. So pause the video and try the question yourself first. All right, let's understand. Now in this question, I have intentionally taken variables instead of numbers. Like I could have also given you this question as 40% of y is increased by 40% or something like that. 40% of 100 is increased by 40%. What will be the final value or what will be the final result? But I intentionally took x and y. The reason being that is because students face difficulties when they have variables in place of numbers when it comes to percentages. Okay, so let's see. Let's decode it one by one. So first one is x percent of y. So x percent of y can be written as x divided by 100 into y, that is simply xy by 100. It's like, how do you write 40% of x? 40% of x is 40 by 100 into x. What is 70% of x? 70 by 100 into x. So what is x percent of y? X by 100 into y. Now x y by 100, this is increased by x percent. This is increased by x percent. So if you're increasing this by x percent, and if I want to know the absolute change, that will be x by 100 multiplied by xy by 100, or the absolute change is x square y by 100 square. It will be x square y by 100 square. So whether you say x y by 100 is increased by x percent, or whether you say x y by 100 is increased by x square y by 100 square, it's one and the same thing. There is no difference. And the final value will become xy by 100 plus x square y by 100 square. So you can rewrite this as xy by 100 into 1 plus y by 100, and this is your final answer. So you will have more or less answer in this form, or you can also have your answer like something like, they can give you like xy by 100 square into 100 plus y. This is another way, or they can give you x into 100y plus y square by 100 square. Okay, so this is more or less everything regarding question number 1. Simple question, no doubt in that, but yes, x and y do confuse us, so that's why I have taken x and y. Okay, let's move on to question number 2 now. So pause the video and try the question yourself first, please. All right, let's see. So 90 students represent X percent of boys at Jones School. Okay. if the boys at Jones School make up 40% of the total population of X students, what is X? So let's go through this question again. It's sounding a bit confusing at the first time. 90 students represent X percent of the boys at Jones School. So I'm gonna decode one line by one line. 90 students represent X percent of boys at Jones School. So let's do one thing. Let's say that the number of boys in Jones School is equal to B. So X percent of B will be X by 100 into B, and that will be equal to 90. X by 100 into B, that will be equal to 90. So X percent of boys is equal to 90. So X by 100 into B is equal to 90. If the boys at Jones School makes up 40% of the total population of X students. Now boys, which is B, that is equal to 40% of total population, that is 40% of X. So B is equal to 40 by 100 into X. Or you can say that B is equal to 0.4x. They're asking you to find out the value of X. Now you have calculated B, so put B back in this equation. So you will get X by 100 into 0.4x is equal to 90. So this is X square, or rather write it as 4x square by 1000 is equal to 90. So you will have X square is equal to 90 into, and this will basically become 250. Then you can do like square root on both the sides. So I'm doing this calculation here. So 90 into 250 is nothing but 9 into 25 into 100, right? Square root all the numbers. So that's 3 into 5 into 10. So 15 into 10. So X is simply equal to 150. That's your answer. So I have again decoded line by line. 90 students represent X percent of the boys. So let the boys be B. So X percent of B is 90. Then 40% of the total population of X students is boys. So 40% of X is equal to B. And then I have combined both the statements. Going line by line, one by one. Okay, that's what you're supposed to do when it comes to percentages. Okay, let's move on to question number 3. So pause the video and try this question yourself. Alright, let's see how we can solve this one. Jen has $60 more than Brian. Okay, so I can say that Jen is equal to 60 plus B. If she were to give Brian 1/5 of her money, Brian would have 25% less than the amount that Jen would then have. If she were to give 1/5 of her money, now how much does Jen have? Jen have 60 plus B. So what they are saying is, if Jen gives 1/5 of what she has to Ben, so Ben will then have B plus 1 by 5 60 plus B, which I can also write as B plus 12 plus B by 5, which is basically 6B by 5 plus 12, which is 6B by 5 plus 12. Now if she gives away 1/5 of what she originally had, can I say she will be left with, now this is the amount, let me cloud this, this is the amount with Ben, or let me write, this is the new amount with Ben. Now the new amount with Jen will be like 60 plus B, her original amount, minus 1/5 of 60 plus B. So you can take 60 plus b common and you'll be left with 4/5 of 60 plus b. 4/5 of 60 plus b. Or like you can solve this also. So 60 plus b minus 1/5 of 60 is 12 and b into 1 by 5 is 1 by 5b. 60 minus 12 is 48 and minus 4 by 5b. So you will get the same answer from 4 by 5 into 60 plus b. Okay, there will be no difference. Brian would have 25% less than the amount that Jen would have. Now, if Brian has 25% less than the amount that what Jen would have now, can I say, in other terms, can I say Brian would basically have 75% of the amount? Of Jen. 25% less basically means Brian is going to have 75% of what Jen has. So I can conclude that 6b by 5 plus 12, that is the amount with Ben, that is equal to 75%, which is 3/4 of 4 by 5 of 60 plus b. 75% is 3/4. 75 by 100, you can take 25 common, you'll be left with 3/4. So if Brian has 25% less than the amount that Jen would have, then Brian would basically be having 75% of the amount that Jen has. 75% is 3/4. So I can cancel this 4, I can cancel this 4. Now I'm removing this so that I have space for my calculations. So I'm left with 6b by 5 plus 12, and I have calculated 2/4, so it's 3/5 of 60. So 3/5 of 60 is 36 plus 3/5 of b. So you can subtract 3 by 5b on both the sides. So you'll be left with 3b by 5 on left hand side. You can also subtract 12 on both the sides, so this will be equal to 24. So this becomes 8 and 8 into 5 is 40. So b is equal to 40. Now this is not my final answer. This is not my final answer. The question is, how much more does Jennifer have? So Jen, I have basically used as a short for Jennifer. I guess I don't get confused. There are no 3 people. There are still 2 people. That is Jen and Brian. So Brian has 40. Now I just need to calculate Jennifer. So Jennifer has $60 more. So Jennifer would basically have $100, and that will be the answer. Jennifer or Jen would basically have $100. All right. So this will be question number 3. I hope this is clear to everyone. All right. Try the 4th one. Pause the video. Try the question yourself. Okay, so 0.35 represents what percent of 0.007? So what you need to know is you want to calculate 0.35 in terms of 0.007. So your base value here is 0.007. Okay, you want to calculate 0.35 in terms of 0.007. Remember that. Okay, so that will be 0.35 divided by 0.007 multiplied by 100%. So how do you convert absolute to percentage? You take that value, you divide by total quantity, and you multiply by 100%. In this case, your total quantity is 0.007. Do not take it to be 0.35. They are not asking you what is 0.007 in terms of 0.35. They're asking you what is 0.35 in terms of 0.007. Okay, we have a habit of taking the denominator value to be a larger value. Otherwise, this question is pretty straightforward. I don't even have to give you this question. The reason is that we have developed that notion over a period of time that we usually take a higher value in denominator, but that's not the case always. So this will become 35, so divided by 0.7 into 100%, which I can rewrite as 350 divided by 7 into 100%. So this is 50 and this will simply be like 5000%. This is like 5000%. Okay, let me ask you one more question, and if you are able to solve that question, let me know the answer in the comment box. So question is 0.35 is what percent more than 0.007? 0.35 is what percent more than 0.007, and do the other way around also, that is 0.007 is what percent less than 0.35. Let me know the answer to both the questions. Alright, let's move on to next question. So pause the video, try this question number 5. Alright, let's solve this one. M greater than 0, y greater than 0, x is m% of 2y. Okay, let's decode this. X is m% of 2y. X is m%, m by 100 into 2y. So x is equal to my divided by 50. Then in terms of y, m is what percent of x? In terms of y, so see, this is becoming a bit confusing, right? So let's go step by step. First, we are able to decode when you say x is m% of 2y. How do you write m%? M by 100. So x is equal to m by 100 into 2y. So we have calculated the value of x. Okay. Now, as of now, leave this part. From here to here, leave this. It is asking m is what percent of x? M is what percent of x? They are asking you m in terms of x. They are asking you m in terms of x. So that will simply be m by x into 100%. This is how we calculate. This is how we convert absolute to percent, right? We take that value, we divide by the total quantity, and we multiply by 100%. M is what percent of x? So it's m by x into 100%. Now I just need to know the value of m. So from this, x is equal to m by 100. I can say m will be equal to 50x divided by y. And if I plug it, I'm gonna get 50x divided by y into x, because this x is also going to be there, and multiply by 100%. Cancel this, and that's simply going to be 5000% divided by y. Or you can say like 50 by y into 100%, whichever way you want to do it. And that's your answer. So m is 5000 by y percent of x. Again, the point is variables confuse us. I have intentionally taken variables. Otherwise, questions are not that difficult. If you have observed in these 5 questions, more or less, what we have used is basically converting from absolute to percentage and percentage to absolute. The very first concept that I taught you in the first video. Alright, let's move on to question number 6. Okay, this is like this question is based on another application of percentages, but I haven't explained this application while I was teaching the basics. The reason being is that we don't understand this unless and until we have a question in front of us. Okay, So anyways, pause the video and try the question, then we're gonna discuss this again. All right, let's see. So this question is basically based on the fact that your total expenditure is equal to price of the commodity multiplied by the consumption. Multiplied by the consumption. So total expenditure is equal to price of the commodity multiplied by consumption. So you can use sugar, you can use petrol, you can use anything basically. It really doesn't matter. Okay, the concept remains the same. The price of a sugar is increased by 20%. As a result, a family decreases its consumption by 25%. The expenditure of the family on the sugar will be decreased by what? So let's do one thing. Couple of ways of solving this question. Let's first use the generalized way. You can consider initial expenditure to be initial price to be P and initial consumption to be C. If the price of the sugar is increased by 20%, if I'm increasing price by 20%, I'll be increasing price by 0.2 P, which means the price will become 1.2. And if I'm decreasing the consumption by 25%, so I'll be decreasing it by 0.25 C, so this will become 0.75 C. So I can say that my new expenditure, let me call that E dash, that will be equal to 1.2 P multiplied by 0.7 C, which will basically be equal to 0.9 PC. The question is expenditure on sugar will be decreased by what? Initially the expenditure was PC, now the expenditure is 0.9 PC. So what is the change? The change is 0.1 PC and it's a negative change because it's decreasing, and divided by PC, that's the overall quantity, multiplied by 100%, so that will simply be 10%. That will be 10%. So if the price is increasing by 20 and the family decreases consumption by 25, then the total expenditure will be decreased by 10%. Another way of solving this question is, if you'll observe carefully, when you talk about expenditure, now you don't even need to know this relationship. It's like it's a common logic that your expenditure is always equal to price per unit multiplied by the consumption, right? So this is basically like successive percentage changes because the two values are being multiplied. It's like successive percentage changes, first increase by 20, then decrease by 25. You can use the formula also for the successive percentage change, and you'll get the net result as 20 minus 25 plus 20 into minus 25 divided by 100. So this is minus 5 minus 5, that is equal to minus 10%. That means the value will decrease by 10%. Whenever two things are multiplied, the percentage changes, successive percentage change. Remember that. Another way of solving this question is, which I prefer, whenever you talk about percentages, see, percentages is a relative quantity, it's not an absolute quantity, right? So whenever you have all the expressions or all the information given to you in terms of percentage, what you can do is you can assume a value and then you can start solving the question. So what I can do is I can say that let's consider the price of the sugar to be 100 and let's say the consumption is 10, which means expenditure will automatically be 1000. Price, let's suppose, is 100 per kg, consumption is 10 kg, so total expenditure is 1000. If the price of the sugar is increased by 20%, so price now becomes 120. Consumption is decreased by 25%, so consumption now becomes 7.5. Use your calculators, expenditure will now become 900. So if you're going from 1000 to 900, what is the change? It's changes of 100. On what? On 1000. Percentage changes 10%, and that's your answer. So many ways of solving one question. It's your decision which way you want to go. Alright, let's move on to the next one. So try this question number 7. Pause the video, try the question yourself first. Alright, let's try this one. So a relationship between P and Q is given to us. And what is the ratio of P to the power minus 2 to Q to the power minus 2? So what I wish to calculate is P to the power minus 2 divided by Q to the power minus 2. Can I also rewrite this as 1 over P square divided by 1 over Q square, which can I finally rewrite as Q square by P square or not? So they were supposed to ask you Q square by P square. Just to make question bit more difficult, they have given you P to the power minus 2 to Q to the power minus 2. Now it says that for a non-zero number P and Q, Q is 50% greater than, more than, lesser than, stands for change. The change is 50 by 100 into P, which is 0.5. So Q is basically P plus 0.5 P, which is equal to 1.5. So if you want to calculate the ratio, it's pretty simple. 1.5 P square divided by P square. So that is like 2.25. That is 2.25, and that's your answer. Alright, let's move on. Alright, so this is question number 8. Pause the video, try the question yourself. Alright, let's see. So in a class if 50% of boys were girls, then there would be 50% more girls than boys. What percent of overall class is girls? So let's first do one thing. Let's first consider the number of boys to be B and number of girls to be G. Let's do this first. So we have B, we have G. Now it says that in a class if 50% of the boys were girls, so 50% of boys is 0.5 B. So if 0.5 B were girls, that means the new number of girls will basically become G plus 0.5 B. And the new number of boys will automatically become 0.5 B, because B minus 0.5 B is 0.5 B. So initially it was B and G, but if 50% of boys were girls, that is if 0.5 B was also included in G, that is the total number of girls is G plus 0.5 B, then there would be 50% more girls than boys. So what it is saying that, let's say that this entire expression is equal to some value P, and let's say this entire expression is equal to some value Q. It is saying that P will be equal to 50% more. More basically stands for change, or you can say P will be equal to 1.5. Because it's 50% more, it's not 50% off, it's more. So you're adding something, okay? So this will basically give you that G plus 0.5 B is equal to 1.5 into 0.5 B. So G plus 0.5 B is equal to half of 1.5 is 0.75, so that is 0.75b. Then I can say that G will be equal to 0.25b. 0.25 is 1/4, so you can say that 4G is equal to B, or boys is equal to 4 times girls. What percent of overall class is girls? We want to calculate the percentage, so let's do that. So that is G divided by G plus B into 100%. So that is G divided by B is 4 times G, so that is 5 times G into 100%. So you will get your final answer as 20%. And that's your final answer. Now instead of using 50% also, I could have used X% also, just to make things a bit more complex and complicated. Okay. But the answer, like the point is, the concept doesn't change whether you use numbers, whether you use variables, it's one and the same thing. Alright. So let's try one more question for this video. So try this question number 9, please. Alright, let's see how we can solve this one. A earns 25% more than B, C earns 25% more than A earns 20% more than D, and E earns 20% more than A. A, B, C, D, E earn integer amounts less than $100. What is the total amount earned by all 5 of them put together? Fine, fair enough. So let's do one thing. Let's take B to be X. If B is equal to X, then I can say A will be 25% more. So that is X plus 25% of X, which is nothing but 1.25X. Which is nothing but 1.25X. That is 25% more. So A earns 25% more than B, so A is 1.25X. C earns 25% more than A. So C is basically A plus 25% of A. So this is basically 1.25 times A, or that is 1.25 into 1.25x, which is basically 1.5625x. Or you can convert these into fractions also if you don't like decimals. So 1.25 is basically 5/4, so you can write this as 5/4x. And this is like 5/4 into 5/4, so that is 25/16. C is 25/16x. A earns 20% more than D. Okay, so what you need to do here is, now you need to take D equals to Y. So from there you can say that A will be 1.2Y. Okay, if A earns 20% more than D, that does not stand for the fact that D earns 20% less than A. Do not confuse the two statements. If A earns 20% more than D, that does not stand for the fact that D earns 20% less than A. So do not write D as 0.8 into A. That would be incorrect. Okay, that would be incorrect. So I can say that 5/4x, which is the value of A. Now 1.2y is nothing but 6/5. That is 6/5y. And from here I'm going to get that y is equal to 25/24x. Or the value of D is 25/24x. Now E earns 20% more than A, so E will basically be 1.2 times A. So 1.2 is again 6/5 into A, which is 5/4x. So you can cancel 5 and 5, and this will simply become 6/4x. Now all of them earn integer amount less than $100. So let's add them first of all. What is the total amount earned by all 5 of them put together? So I have X, I have 5x by 4. Then I have 25x by 16. Then I have 25x by 24. And then I have 6x by 4. Now, if all these 5 numbers are integers, then I need to choose a value of x. I need to choose a value of x such that all the 5 expressions comes out to be integer. I need to choose a value of x such that all the 5 expressions comes out to be an integer. So how will you do that? You need to get rid of the denominator. In order to do that, you'll have to take x to be a value which is LCM of the 4 denominators. LCM of the 4 denominators, which will be 48. Let's plug in 48. So if I plug in 48, so this is 48 only. Then 5 into 48, so 5 into 12, that's 60. So this is 40, this is exactly 100. This is 50. No, this is not 100, I'm sorry. This is 75. This is 75. And this is 48 by 4 is 12. 12 into 6, that is 70. Now the value of x can be any multiple of 48. For example, you can take it to be 96 also, but if you take it to be 96, then all of them will not earn an integer amount less than 100. Some of them will earn an amount which is greater than 100. Or you can like simply multiply these numbers by 2 also, because 96 is twice of 48. So this will go beyond 100, this will go beyond 100, this will exactly be 100, this will go beyond 100. Okay. So what is the total amount? Add them, that will be your answer. Okay, so this is more or less everything that you need to know as far as percentages is concerned. I hope you have enjoyed all the 3 videos. If you have any doubts, any concerns, do let me know. You can put your concerns in the comment box also. And if you like the videos, do subscribe the channel and keep watching and keep learning, guys. Thank you so much.